Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is In It for the Spooks, and tonight I will be telling you the sad, tragic, and disturbing story of Reddit user jasoninhell, or otherwise known by his real name, Jason Worley. Now before I get into the case, I'd like to address some things first. Obviously, this isn't the typical video format I have used in the past. What can I say? I'm trying something new. Second, I know that a lot of other people have covered this case, like Cadaver and Expo, and the story is well known in general. I always typically try my best to find cases that haven't been covered a lot on YouTube. However, even though I pretty much knew a lot about what happened thanks to watching some videos by those mentioned above, seriously, go check out their videos and channels because I love them. When I did my own research and digging, I found myself on the verge of tears and feeling deeply disturbed. The whole point is, the more that this story is covered and talked about, the more the victims in the story will be remembered. Not for how they died, but the lives they lived and what a wonderful, amazing father they have. Now, enough about that. Let's get into tonight's video. On October 28th, 2016, a user going by u/jasoninhell would make a post on the r/relationship advice subreddit titled, "I'm 30 male having a hard time coping with my wife, 29 female, having cheated on me with our neighbor." The post goes as follows. Too long, didn't read. I caught my wife cheating on me over a year ago. I stayed with her for the sake of our children, but I haven't been able to get it off my mind since. It has been 476 days since I confronted her about it. How do I know? Because every time I catch myself thinking about it, I tell myself, it's only been X days. Maybe you won't think about it tomorrow. So to go back to the beginning, I had just taken on a new project and new responsibilities at work. I was working a lot of hours, 60 plus per week, and was noticeably stressed. It was in May of 2015 that I noticed that she had added a password to her phone. When confronted about it, she told me it was because she was planning my Father's Day present and didn't want me to ruin the surprise. About a week later, she came to me and told me that she felt guilty keeping a big secret from me, and told me that she was having our neighbor, a contractor, build a home office for me as my present. It struck me as odd, as in our 6 years together, she never said she felt guilty about anything and always insists that she never regrets anything in her life. Time goes on, her phone is still password protected, and things don't feel right. I see her using her phone and smiling to herself more and more often, but when I ask her what she is doing, she says nothing and puts her phone away. So one morning, I wait for her to get in the shower and I grab her phone before it requires the password. I go through her messages and find that she is texting the neighbor. "I'm all covered in frosting. You want to lick it off?" There were no other messages to the neighbor, but I found out later that was because she had set up her phone to delete messages after a certain amount of time. I felt uncomfortable with it, but I knew she had a perverted sense of humor, and I thought she would never do anything to hurt me. More time goes by and the neighbor is spending more and more time at our house, but the office is being completed slower and slower. I can't help but worry that something isn't right, so I start checking her location using Google Timeline. It was at this point that I realized that there are large gaps in her GPS history because she was turning off her phone's GPS. Fast forward to July, and at this point the paranoia is driving me nuts, so I tell her that I need to install new antivirus on her phone. While she has it unlocked for me, I install anti-theft software so I can remotely turn the GPS back on and set up AT&T message backup and restore so I can read all of her text messages from that point on my computer. The next day, my mother asks to spend time with my 2 kids, so my wife drops them off with her and has the day to herself. I watch my wife's activity from work as she spends the day trying to meet up with the neighbor, but is unsuccessful because he is busy with another job site. That night, we get the kids back from my mom's house and we go out to dinner with the neighbor, his girlfriend, and his son. My wife and his girlfriend are having a good time drinking, laughing, and just joking around. His girlfriend mentions that she would like to see Magic Mike XXL. I say it's a good idea, I'll watch the kids so my wife and her can go. So my wife and her go, and the neighbor and I go back to my house so the kids can play video games together. The kids are back in my son's room playing games, and the neighbor is sitting across from me on the other couch. It is at this point that my wife starts texting him. She is describing sex acts she would like to perform with him, and he is reciprocating. She tells him to check his Snapchat, and at that same time, I get a Snapchat from her too, and it is her fingering herself in a bathroom stall. They keep talking, trying to figure out when they can meet up and have sex. They decide on Monday morning after I go to work, so in my head, I had already planned to pretend to leave and circle back to catch them. then they tell each other that they love each other, and it's all I can do to not leap off the couch and knock him out. But I contain myself and continue reading the conversation unfolding in front of me. Then he tells her, "You are my girl now," to which she replies, "Always have been," ending with him writing, "and always will be." My wife and the neighbor's girlfriend returned from the movie, and I asked them politely to sit down. I then asked the kids to stay in my son's room and shut the door. I return to the living room and confront my wife and the neighbor. I say, "So you two love each other, huh?" My wife goes into full-blown denial mode, and the neighbor's girlfriend starts smacking him. I ask my wife if she has been texting him. She says no, so I show her the text messages. She admits to it, but says it was the first time it had gone that far. I ask my wife if she has sent him pictures. She says no, so I show her the picture. She admits it, but says it was the first time. I ask her if she's having sex with him, and she says no. Because I didn't wait to catch them having sex together, I didn't have evidence to prove her wrong, so that one stayed unresolved. I tell her that I'm leaving her. She tells me that she will make sure I never see my kids again if I do. She planned on using the fact that I had attempted suicide in high school to prove me unfit to have the children. She continues to say that it was my fault for being so busy with work and stressed out, that she just wanted someone she could talk to. Then she gave me an ultimatum to decide what I'm going to do, or she will decide for me. The neighbor's girlfriend starts defending the two of them, saying that it couldn't have been serious if they weren't having sex, and that my wife and I are too perfect together to let this break us up. The neighbors go home, and my wife and I argue for the rest of the night about what we are going to do. We go to bed separately, having not resolved anything. We keep going back and forth on the subject all weekend, and finally settle on we were going to separate temporarily while we figure out what we want. I was going to stay in the house, and she was going to take the kids and go to her mom's house. That Monday, I go to work and I get a text from her in the middle of a meeting with my bosses, stating that she has explained things to our kids, but that they were upset and I needed to explain it to them also. I get home from work to find my kids crying. She had told them that mommy had to move out because dad was mad at her. When my son wanted to stay with me, she told him that he can't. My son put it together that if mommy has to move out because I'm mad at her and he must move out, then I must have been mad at him too. My daughter is crying because my son was. I don't think she was old enough to understand what was happening. It was at that moment I realized she was going to drag the kids through hell if I left her, so I swallowed my feelings and begged her to stay. She agreed and insisted that I apologize to our neighbor since we were still going to need to hang out with them because our sons are good friends. I hate it, but I do it anyway. We still hang out with them from time to time, and they come to our various birthday and holiday parties. But I do anything for my kids, and I behave civil every time. Things die down for a while. I still think about it constantly. I worry how I can keep from making her so unhappy that she cheats on me again. Then, almost a year from the original incident, around Father's Day again, she sent him pictures again. She claimed it was an accident, that she meant to send them to me instead. I don't fully believe her, but I move on anyway. After receiving some sound advice and hearts less harsh, along with some sympathetic and understanding comments on his first post, 4 days after making the original post, on November 1st, 2016, Jason would post an update titled, "I'm taking your advice." Instead of trying to fix something she doesn't want to fix, she has refused counseling several times in the past before this even happened. I'm going to get myself and my kids out. I meet with an attorney next week. Thank you everyone for helping me see how far I had my head up my ass. After posting this, other users who had taken an interest in Jason's predicament were left wondering how everything turned out in the end. Most had hoped everything would work out for the man and he'd be able to move on, while others just didn't know and didn't think he'd post an update either until he was ready or that he'd never update again. The truth, as many would soon find out, was much, much worse. On November 21st, 2016, u/jasoninhell would post another update, 3 weeks after his last update. The post was titled, "Thank You," and read, "Would like to give a heartfelt and sincere thank you for the advice and support I have received here. No one could have foreseen the tragedy that resulted from me filing for divorce. You guys perform a wonderful service to those in need, and I hope you continue to do so in the future." He would be referring to an incident that occurred at his home 4 days before. On the 17th of November, 2016, around 4 a.m., a 911 operator in Montgomery County, Darlington, Indiana, would receive a phone call from a woman by the name Brandy Worley.
Where's your emergency?
203 South Madison Street.
In what town?
Darlington.
Hey, what's going on there?
I just stabbed myself and I killed my 2 children.
You stabbed yourself and killed your 2 children?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what's your name?
Brandy Worley.
Brandy what?
Worley.
Okay. How do you spell your last name?
Worley.
And where are the children at?
In my daughter's room on the floor.
In your daughter's room on the floor? Okay. What's your phone number, Brandy? And what caused you to do this today?
My husband wanted a divorce and wanted to take my kid. I won't let him have my kid.
Okay, and how old are your children?
7 and 3.
10 and 3?
7.
7 and 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And where did you stab yourself at?
In the neck.
Okay. Are you bleeding?
Yeah, there's blood everywhere.
Okay, and where are you at?
In my living room.
You're in your living room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and are you armed now with the knife still?
No, it's in my children's room.
November 17, 2016, 4:36:21.
Okay, are you still there? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, where's your husband at?
Downstairs somewhere.
Okay, what's his condition?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him.
And when you say downstairs, is he in a basement or?
Yeah.
November 17, 2016, 4:36:51.
Okay, what's his name?
Jason.
Is what?
Jason.
Nathan?
Jason.
Jason? Jason Worley?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any other weapons with you?
Yeah. No.
No? Okay. And what are you feeling right now? I mean, you're tired? Are you
Yeah. I took a lot of Benadryl.
You took a lot of Benadryl?
Yeah.
Okay.
November 17, 2016, 4:37:49.
Is the front door unlocked?
No, we don't use it.
You know, you just use the back door?
Yeah. Side. It's on the side. It's unlocked.
Okay. And is there anyone else in the residence besides your children and you and your husband?
I called my mom.
You called your mom. What did she say?
To hang up and call 911 and she'd be here in a second.
What's your mom's name?
Rosemary Zell.
Can you spell that for me?
The last name?
No, I'm having a hard time. I have a hard time hearing you. What did you say your mom's name was?
Rosemary Zell.
Rosemary Odell?
Zell.
Zell, okay. Rosemary Zell, okay. Do you have a phone number for her?
I just stabbed myself and killed my 2 children, the 30-year-old calmly stated chillingly. The 2 children, Tyler, age 7, and Charlie, age 3, were found in the 3-year-old's room, covered with blankets. They would be pronounced dead on the scene when EMS and first responders arrived. Each child had suffered 3 stab wounds to the neck, and Tyler had a superficial wound as well. She had taken the life of Tyler first and then killed Charlie after she asked her mother, "What are you doing?" after being awoken to the sound of her brother being stabbed. Brandy replied with, "Go back to sleep," before repeatedly stabbing Charlie to death. The bloody knife, a K-bar hunting and combat knife that was bought under the pretense that Brandy was going to get pipe cleaner for Tyler's school project, which was used to stab the children, was found only a few feet away from their bodies. Brandy was found sitting in the living room with a self-inflicted stab wound to the neck. She was quickly taken to Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis for emergency care, where she would make a full recovery. Where was Jason in all of this, you ask? Well, he was sleeping downstairs in the basement, where he couldn't have possibly heard the atrocities that had taken place upstairs in his daughter's room. Now, before calling 911, Brandy called her mother explaining what she had done, who then promptly told her to call 911. Jason's mother-in-law arrived before police did, and it was her screams that woke Jason up. Brandy had told paramedics she wanted to die with her children and added that she didn't want Jason, aka you/jasoninhell, taking my kids. She is reported to have said similar things like, "Now you can't take the kids from me," and she said she stabbed her kids because he wanted a divorce and wanted to take my kids, and I don't want him to have my kids. Tyler and Charlie's funeral was held at the Darlington Community Center a few days after they were found deceased. Following the funeral, they were interred at Green Lawn Cemetery, also in Darlington. When looking back to the initial Reddit post, we can clearly see that Brandy A. didn't really care all that much about her marriage, otherwise why elaborately cheat on her husband with her neighbor twice, and B. if Jason did decide that he wanted to go through with a divorce, she would put him and their 2 children through absolute and utter hell just to spite him. Clearly, she did manage to drag him through hell, because I can't imagine what it's like to know that your wife killed your 2 children while you were sleeping downstairs, unaware of what was happening, all because you were unhappy in an unfaithful marriage. I can't even fathom the thought of my own mother trying to kill me, just as some sick and twisted way to get back at my dad, let alone what a 7 and 3-year-old would think. How fucking selfish and disgusting is that? Now, I can hear you asking, why would a mother go and do this to her own 2 children, her own flesh and blood? Well, if you haven't connected the dots by now, or just weren't paying attention, it's because Brandy's husband, Jason Worley, filed for divorce the previous day on November 15th. Obviously, we know how the couple fought and talked about separating before and how that went. For the sake of the children, they both agreed to stay in the relationship to try and fix things. After filing for divorce, the family attended a dance program for Charlie before returning home for dinner. The family then played on a Murphy bed before Jason bathed the kids and got them ready for bed. While Jason did this, Brandy took a trip to Walmart. After returning home from the store, Brandy told Tyler to have a sleepover in his sister's room. She said this so she could have both children together when the murder took place. Brandy would plead not guilty to the 2 murder charges. The defense team went with the insanity defense, because of course they did. Brandy was then ordered to undergo a psychiatric evaluation with a competency hearing the following year. But that following year, Brandy changed her plea and instead pleaded guilty to both counts of murder without offering an explanation on why. Judge Harry Simus said that everyone wanted an explanation for the senseless murders, stating that it was extremely unnatural for a parent to kill their child. Sometimes there's no explanation, darkness in this world, and it penetrates into our minds and hearts. Brandy buying the knife showed premeditation and showcased her disturbing nature because of how brutal the knife she ended up buying was. Jason had this to say after she had gone to prison. All I care is to never see her again. Out of sight, out of mind. Brandy reportedly still hasn't shown any remorse for murdering her children. She's been diagnosed with depression and has been in an unemotional state since going to prison. She was sentenced to 120 years in prison. Brandy Worley was born on November 10, 1986, making her a Scorpio. She is currently incarcerated in Indiana Women's Prison, serving 2 consecutive murder sentences totaling up to 120 years. Tyler Worley was born 10 weeks premature on September 17, 2009, making him a Virgo. In happier times between the couple, this led them to promise one another, the children will always come first before each other and our marriage. He was a first grader at Sugar Creek Elementary School. He loved playing all the balls: soccer, football, basketball, baseball. If it had a ball in it, he played it. He one day dreamed of working on computers just like his dad. Jason said, Tyler could walk into a room with 20 strangers and come out with 20 friends. And Tyler was a hoot, according to his summer Christian church camp pastor, Seth Stultz. He described Tyler as outgoing, fun, and always happy in nature. Charlie was born on September 26, 2013, making her a Libra. She was enrolled in preschool, loved attending story time at the local library, and was enrolled in dance classes. She was also enrolled in basketball camp and VBS, which stands for Vacation Bible School. According to Jason, Charlie was a big ball of attitude. She loved getting dressed up and wouldn't leave the house without braids or a bow in her hair. And last but not least, Jason Worley. He was a software developer when he married Brandy in 2009 and is still likely to be working in that sector. Today, he stays out of the spotlight and is still a software engineer and has a new wife and family. I guess he got a promotion or something, but I don't know. This is just what the article says. There isn't much information about him or where he is now out there anyway. Thankfully, he's entirely separated from his previous partner. And I'll end tonight's case off with this final post. Too long, didn't read. I am doing better and I continue to get better every day. The first thing you may notice is this is being posted from a different account. I deleted the u/jasoninhell account in a knee-jerk reaction to seeing my Reddit posts in the news. I guess the first question to answer is how am I doing? And to that I would say I am doing well. I have bad days, but I would think that is to be expected. It is just important that I, or anyone going through something, continue to use the support of friends and family as well as good coping skills to not let myself be completely defeated on those bad days. I won't lie, I struggled to get back to where I am. For some time, I refused to sleep because of combination of fear of what I would wake up to and nightmares about that night. For a time, I used alcohol to sleep, but my family loved me enough to take it from me before it became a damaging and permanent habit. I was hospitalized because I did have thoughts of ending my life because I missed my children so much. From that, I learned that you should never be ashamed of your mental health, and not seeking treatment will only make it worse, not better. We have all heard it, but if your loved one is struggling, seek immediate assistance. Your life is too important to throw away in a moment of weakness. By putting off treatment, I only caused everything else in my life to suffer. I lost my job and became reclusive to the house. But don't worry, I have been back to work since December and I've nearly regained my former position and salary, so I'm good and require no assistance. The second question would be, how do I feel about the sentencing? That is something that is harder to answer, because no matter what the sentence, nothing will bring back my beloved children. Do I think she should have gotten the death penalty, which Indiana has? No, I do not. She wanted to die, and after 9 years of giving her what she wanted, when she wanted it, I was not going to give her another thing. Do I think the life sentence will have any appreciable effort on her? I don't know. One thing she always stressed for the entire time that I knew her was that she lived her life without any regrets. Even after I caught her cheating on me, she continued to say she had no regrets. As for the ex-in-laws, they continue to be a problem to this day. Shortly after everything happened, they changed the locks on the home I was renting from them with my property still inside. After trying to civilly negotiate the return of the property, it was required that I involve law enforcement. That is an ongoing legal battle. A member of the family accused me of stealing property I had purchased from them prior to the death of the children and threatened to take action against me unless I paid double what I had already paid them. I alerted the authorities, and as far as I know, that is resolved. They continue to make visiting my children's grave difficult, During the 1-year anniversary, they sat in their truck and just watched me the whole time I was visiting the grave. Because of that, I don't visit the grave as often as I would like to. If I can impart on you something I have learned through all of this, it is that you should always take the time to be with the ones you love. It doesn't matter if they're asking you to read The Pokey Little Puppy for the millionth time, or asking you to play Smash Bros even though you both know they will wipe the floor with you every time. Just do it, because you never know what time will be the last time. Always make sure they know how much you love them. I had the fortune that the last thing my children ever heard me say was, "I love you, good night, I will see you in the morning." Thank you all so much for watching tonight's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment down below telling me what your thoughts and feelings were throughout the video. Feedback is always appreciated. For more true crime and other creepy content, please subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications to be notified when I upload. I hope you all have a wonderful night. My name is In It for the Spooks, and don't forget to stay spooky.